And I didn't know till I got this album, which I will show you, that he didn't like Ballad of a Teenage Queen. And, oh gosh, what is his last name? Clemens, his last name. He produced the record because Sam didn't like it. But Bill was the one that got me to sing there, Bill Justice. But it was a time, I feel so blessed to have been a part of all of that and look back on it and say I was there.
How was it different working for Knox? You worked for Knox a little bit as well, too.
Knox, and Sam was still there.
Okay, Sam was still there.
Yeah, he was still there
okay.
until he just finally got out of it. So I knew Knox, of course. It was good to see him that evening. But it was, he was learning from his dad, and he learned very well. Very well.
He did, indeed. So you've continued singing. I know that since you've continued as a professional musician. Talk a little bit, because I know you're very involved at St. George's with Cabaret Night, and you continue to do that.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, that's a strange story. I decided that I had used up my voice and I wasn't going to sing for a while, and I sang in the choir. And then my husband became ill, and consequently died. So I had to recover from that. And then I decided, well, maybe I can sing. So I was in Madrid, Spain, and the guide said, we're going to go to a restaurant. Everybody's going to sing. I thought, good, this will be a sing-along. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the people singing, the owner of the hotel, the restaurant, walked up and handed me a microphone and said, what do you want to sing? And I'm like, okay. So I sang Over the Rainbow, and I sang it as well as I had ever sung it, and got a lot of kisses on both cheeks from all the people there. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna start singing again. So I started singing around the world, any place, in a pub or on a boat, or I became quite a world traveler when it was affordable, and I sang. And then I came home, and I was asked to sing at a St. George's Carols and Candles program, and they said, we need someone who can sing pop. And I said, well, I'll do Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And I sang it very well. And they said, we're going to do evenings with Cyd, and we're going to make money for the church. I said, that's an ostentatious name. They said, we don't care. And it's still that, five shows. I do one September 30th, and it'll be the 5th one I've done at St. George's. They're fundraisers for outreach or for our church.
That's great. So this is a fairly recent, within the last...
With 5 years, or 5 or 7 years. And Renee Koopman plays with me, for me, and he's an old friend from Tanner.
Okay.
So we had resurrected the friendship, and he plays for me, and we'll be getting together and start rehearsing, and it'll be just a lot of the things, the I'm in the mood for love. The crowd loves anything. And Rod Stewart has helped resurrect all this, and Michael Bublé. So it's no longer considered antiquated songs. Everybody loves them now.
That's exactly right.
They're good.
And they are great tunes. And so your world travels you were just talking about, that was fairly recently too? Or
in the last 12 years.
12 years or so?
Yes. And I would just, any place, and they would all find out from people I traveled with that I sang. So we'd have sing-alongs, or I'd get there, and it was a crazy thing. We were going down the Amazon. Well, there's not much exciting on the Amazon River on a boat, but it was what I wanted to do and see the rainforest. And they had a great band. They had picked up street people in the towns, like, in Lima, and just people that were playing out, kind of like they do in New York City. And so I started singing, and I'm sure they were thinking, oh dear. And all of a sudden the musicians started coming out and just playing behind me, floating down the Amazon River. That was amazing.
That is amazing.
That's a digression from Sun, but it's the continuity.
That sounds really, so you're playing with local musicians all around the world. Are there pockets with a musician, like you had really fantastic experiences with musicians?
Some good ones who became a little afraid. They're not jazz that can play in any key, but I was lucky in Madrid they did that. And sometimes I'll just start singing, and some piano player will sit down and pick up and start doing that. And the pubs in Ireland, they're fun to sing in, because there's always somebody that can play. The funny thing is, They all know Over the Rainbow. They might not know anything else, but they know Over the Rainbow. So that's pretty much my worldwide song.
Your song. That's great.
And I found out it has a verse. Renee found it for me.
Oh, wow.
So now I sing the verse that was cut out of the movie.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I don't think I've ever heard the verse. I'm trying to think back to it. Anything?
I don't think I have anything specific. Well, I'll just ask you a few questions. At Crossroads, we generally focus on the civil rights era in Memphis. Do you have any stories or recollections about what that was like for you growing up?
Yes, I think the Lemoyne Owen was that. We have a saying, of course, that musicians are colorblind. We don't think color. My husband was a high school band director, and he never thought, you know, black or white or Vietnamese or what. It was just whatever instrument they played. So we never had that feeling, and that's what I've tried to transfer to my daughter and my grandchildren, that we should all be colorblind. And it was another era of living through that, and it was a pretty bad time when it got really bad. Now we probably would have been possibly harmed by singing a jazz concert at Lemoyne.